All right, in this video, we are going to see the start of the second industrial revolution and a creation of a society that you could truly call modern, that you would recognize. Remember, in the first industrial revolution, it started in the textile industry. Also important in the first industrial revolution was railroads, iron, coal, and steam engine. And the second industrial revolution is driven by steel, right? Chemicals, electricity. You can't imagine modern society without electricity, petroleum or oil, and the internal combustion engine, which literally drives modern societies from our cars to our airplanes and everything in between. So you're starting to see the inventions that we use every day. In the first industrial revolution, we talked about the invention of the spinning jenny, for instance, and none of you have ever used it. But you've all been in a car. You've all used electricity. You've all used something that had chemicals in it. Anything that's plastic, for instance. So we're starting to see a society that we would truly call modern, in large part because of these inventors. Right? A lot of these guys, you've learned about them since elementary school, like Thomas Edison and the invention of the light bulb. And that changes society. It changes the way we work. Now factories could be open up 24 hours a day, so it invented the night shift. Right? It changed the way we socialize. So much of our social life takes place after the sun goes down, and that's because of the light bulb. For thousands of years, the sun went down. Not long after that, it was bedtime, and you woke up with the sun. Now, right, our lives happen when we want them to. Right? And because of Edison's rival, Nikola Tesla, very soon electricity is going to be delivered to our homes cheaply and safely. And think about how important electricity is. Everything from just flicking a switch and making light happen so you can study, to the very fact that you're using electricity right now to watch this video. Society runs on electricity. Yeah, Alexander Graham Bell and the telephone, right? Makes communication even easier, and of course that eventually evolves into the cell phone, where we are constantly connected now. Marconi and sending radio waves across the Atlantic Ocean, wireless communication. The Wright brothers figuring out how to fly. Think about that. That had been a dream of humanity for centuries, going back to ancient Greece with the story of Icarus. Then you've got Da Vinci in a sketchbook trying to figure out how to fly, and the Wright brothers cracked the code. And decades later, right, we'll be landing on the moon, right? So we're almost like defeating gravity, if you will. And then Henry Ford. Now, Henry Ford did not invent the car, okay? A lot of people think he did. He didn't. That's wrong. That's not correct. What he did do is he made the car affordable by pairing the making of the automobile with the assembly line. Up until that point, cars were made by hand, and they were very expensive, and most people cannot afford them. What he figured out is, okay, instead of making everything by hand, what if we have one guy on the line and all he does is put on the front right tire? That's it. That's all he does all day, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, and that's it. And then it moves down the line, and the next tire is put on, then it's down. And so the one person is doing that same thing over and over and over and over again. It's going to speed up the process. Of course, time is money. So the faster you can make these, the cheaper you can sell them. That's also why the Model T Fords only came in one color, black, because it saved time in production. So once these cars became affordable, all of a sudden they start showing up everywhere and people begin to buy them. Now that truly changes society. We become a very mobile society. Once again, for thousands of years, for most people on the planet, the town or village you were born in, that's where you died. And a lot of people never even really left. Now between the car and the train, and a few decades down the line, commercial air travel, the world is at your feet. You could hop in your car and go on vacation, which the vacation is a modern invention as well. You could drive a couple of hours to the beach. You could drive a couple of hours to that cabin in the woods for your vacation. You could commute into work. Maybe you live just outside the city, but your job is in the city. Right? It's going to help deliver goods. It's going to help deliver children to school once the school bus is invented. Right? So the automobile really changes society forever. Right? So we see new patterns emerging. Society is changing rapidly because of the second industrial revolution. Something else that's going on is wages. The average wage is going up, even for factory workers, while prices are going down. So that means these new goods are available to more and more people. It's also one reason why you see modern advertising created during this time period, because companies want the money that you have. And people begin to buy things that they don't need that just make life easier, like the first vacuum cleaner is invented during this time period. That's not necessarily needed. It was just advertised as, hey, it makes your life easier. Things like that that just make things more simple, are save you time so you can do other things. So wages are going up and prices are going down. Now, what happens in Europe, though, there are almost like two Europes that develop. One is industrialized, right? Britain industrializes, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, northern Italy, the western part of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire creates this industrialized zone. And then you have the rest of Europe. You have Spain and Portugal, which does not industrialize, and you have Eastern Europe, which does not industrialize. Now, it's still important because it's agricultural. You know, it's growing a lot of the food that the rest of Europe is consuming, but it has not industrialized. Therefore, in Eastern Europe, you don't necessarily see the increase in wages and the growth of the middle class like you do in Western Europe, that economic zone. So what happens in Western Europe, you have more industry. Because of that, you have a stronger middle class and better living conditions, and because of that, you have more democracy. You leave that zone that was circled, and you're not going to see democracy in Europe in the early 1900s, in the late 1800s. You're still going to see some version of monarchies or authoritarian governments, because usually democracy is associated with the middle class, and the middle class arises in Western Europe because of industrialization. You also see a trend that only continues today, a global economy where everything is linked together. Right? You could live in Britain, but your porcelain, your china came literally from China. Maybe your beef came from Argentina. Your cotton that came from India. You think of today, you think about how many things in your home are made in foreign countries, probably from somewhere in Southeast Asia, whether it's China or Thailand or Vietnam, and things are important, and our economies are linked together. In 2008, when the U.S. Credit market crashed, it sent out this economic ripple throughout the world, and it devastated the global economy because everything is linked together. You don't really have isolated economic incidences anymore. If the oil producing countries decide that they want the price of oil to go up, they can cut production, artificially raising the prices of oil. And you think of everything that would affect. Anything that's transported, for instance, is going to cost more. And so that's a few countries that can send out ripple effects through the entire economy, because now our economies are linked together.